my name is GreedyJack and welcome to my Foundry's Guide series for Degenesis. I'm gonna be your host for this episode where I cover the basics for beginners. First of all, I want to apologize for my accent and language mistakes I'm gonna make during filming this series as I am not native English speaker. Also, this is my first recording of the tutorial ever. So if you have any question regarding this episode, leave it in the comment section below. I try to answer each one or include it in the next episode. So let's start. After you launch Foundry for the first time, you will see a main screen with a few tabs at the top. First one is the game world. World is a folder for your entire adventure that holds all of the scenes, characters and items. We are gonna create one in a few seconds. Next one is game systems. Basically, these are the implementations of RPG systems you can use for your worlds. They contain character sheets, templates, scripts, and all the useful items for you to use during your game sessions. Next one are add-on modules, additional plugins for extra functionality that is not built in Foundry. For example, a module called Dice So Nice renders physical 3D dice for all rolls. And we have configuration tab here. I really recommend to switch the UPnP on at the start. This will allow for automatic port forwarding to your router, and it basically allows other players to connect with the server in your network. Also, I really recommend to change the user data path for something more accessible, because the standard path is placed on the system drive in local appdata/Foundry VTT. So changes to something like this. The access to that folder will be much easier for you. And at the end, we have the update software menu, where you can update your Foundry version to the newest version from lots of channels like stable, release candidate, unstable. But I really recommend at this stage to stay with the stable release channel, especially if you're not a developer. Before we create our first world, we need to install game system we want to use. In this case, it's Degenesis. So we click on Install System, and the window opens with the list of all available game systems in Foundry. So we need to find the one we are looking for right now. So just type Degenesis in the filter text box here, and just click Install. And on my computer, the system is already installed. That's why the button says installed. And that's it. The game system should be listed right now here. Okay, so we installed the game system and we can create our world right now. So switch to the game worlds and click on the button Create World. The new window will pop up, and right now we need to put in some basic information like world title, say tutorial campaign, data path. It's basically the name of the folder in your data folder you set before in the configuration file here. Let's call it tutorial campaign. I hope that will work. Next, select the game system, Degenesis Rebirth, of course. You can also set the background image that will be displayed to your players in the lobby. I prepared one in the Degenesis tutorial EP01 folder. There we go. Intro. You can also set the date for your next session and write some description of your world, like this is tutorial world. And at the end, just click Create World, and it will be listed here. Okay, so now all we need to do is to launch your world. So just click on the button here, Launch World, and Foundry will start the server and load all the data from the world settings. You will see the lobby, which your players also see when they type your IP address and the port into their web browser. We're gonna come back to that a bit later. In the background, you can see the file we set up a moment ago. Also on the right is the world description here. And on the left we have player select menu, game details, and return to setup option. So right now we just want to log in as a game master and set up our world. So just click on select player, select the game master, which is default user created by Foundry. There is no password, so just click join the game session. And now we can see the actual table in game. I'm gonna unpause it so we won't be distracted by this animation here. And we can start setting up our adventure. Okay, so let's start with a quick glance at the interface. On the left, we have a toolbar with basic functionality. It's disabled right now because we don't have any scene set yet, so we're gonna get back to that in a few seconds. At the bottom, in the corner, we have a list of all the players. Next is the macro bar. Macros are the little JavaScript snippets created to automate some tasks like predefined roles, etc. Building macros will be covered in a different video. And on the right, we have a side panel with many switchable tabs at the top. Main one and the first one is the chat log. That will display text messages and role results. At the bottom, we have a little input box and a selector for default role mode. So you can select a different role mode like public role here. Okay, next we have the combat tracker. It will track initiative and turn order for all tokens in active encounter. How to set up encounter will be covered probably in the part 2 of this tutorial, we will see. Next we have scenes. A scene is basically a table canvas that can be seen by you and your players. You will use it for showing maps, tracking tokens, and all that other similar stuff. Next we have actors. Actors are objects that will utilize virtual character sheets and all the mechanics implemented within them. So all of your players' characters and all your non-playable characters as well will be created here. Next, we have item tab. Please do not confuse Foundry's items with typical character equipment like weapons or clothing. Items are all the objects that can be used within character sheets. It's the name of internal JavaScript object class for Foundry, and there can be various items, types, and groups. You will see that in a second. Next we have journal entries. You can use it to prepare assets, to show your players, or to keep notes about places and events that happen during your adventure. After that we have the rollable tables. Some game systems utilize this mechanics. Depends on the roll results described thing in a table happens. We're gonna leave it for now. Next we have playlists. You can prepare a soundtrack for your game here to create a unique atmosphere of the scene. The playlist can be launched automatically when the scene changes, so it's a very nice feature. Next we have compendiums here. These are the database of items, actors, scenes that you can import to your world. Often they are provided within the game systems, but also you can create your own for your world. Last but not least are the game settings, and here you will find a menu to configure game settings, players, toggle installed modules because they are all disabled at the start, and also you will find some help topics and documentation. At the end there's a little arrow on the right, and if you click it, it will collapse the sidebar in case you need more space to work with when creating scene, for example. In this mode, when you click on the little icons, the tabs will open in the new pop-up windows. So it's a very nice feature. It works with all of the tabs except the chat log, unfortunately. So you need to keep it open for your normal sessions. But also, this pop-up windows feature works when you right-click on that little icon. So you see the scenes directory just pop up in the new window. Also, when you double click on the title bar, it will collapse the window to just the title bar to save some space. Okay, so let's quickly jump into game settings for a second. First of all, we want to create players accounts so our friends could join the server. Click on configure players. As you can see, we're kicked out to the lobby settings. You can create new players here. Define the access key for your account and your player's account. Also change the user role. Each of the roles have the different permissions. You can configure the permissions here. As you can see, there's a tons of options here for you to change and customize. We won't be changing here anything at this moment. Just remember, use the player role if you are playing with unknown people from the internet and you are afraid some of them could be trolls, and use the trusted player when you are playing with your friends. So let's create an additional user quickly. Define access key like 1111 and assign the role trusted. Save and return. We're back to our world. Also, we want to enable our Dice So Nice module, because I really love to see physical dice for all my roles. Just click on Manage Modules and click on that little checkbox here. Save module settings, and now the Dice So Nice module is enabled. Also, let's go through the settings menu here. As you can see, there are tons of options here. I really recommend to experiment with some of them and see what happens later. Also, we have system settings which are not being used by Degenesis right now, and the module settings where we can change the settings of all the modules that are enabled. For example, we can select a different model for our dice. I really like the white one. The preview sometimes is bugged, but when you click save, back, you see there's a beautiful 3D model for the dice. Okay, let's just see if the dice working. Roll 1d6. Oh, epic botch. Okay. Before we create our first object, I want to explain how Foundry is storing all the information at different levels, so you will have a better understanding how things work. Let's start with world objects. These are all the objects you can see in your scenes, actors, and items directories. You cannot use objects directly from compendiums, they need to be imported first. During the import process, Foundry will copy all of the data and create a new object with the same values. This object won't be linked or synchronized with the one from compendium. Another level of storing data is actor entity. When you add item to an actor, Foundry will create new object from world item with the same data. However, both items will not be linked and the data will not be synchronized. So any change to world item will not be reflected in actor's item. Last are the tokens. There are two options of creating tokens, with or without link to an actor. When you link token to actor, all the data is being synchronized between the two, and I really recommend this approach for all your character players and important unique non-playable characters. Second option is to create token without data link. So token entity will hold a new actor object with new items objects based on original world actor data. It's very useful for populating scene with regular enemies. For example, you want to put 3 enemy clanners on a scene, you don't have to create 3 separate world actors objects. Just create 1 actor and 3 unlinked tokens, which you can customize later, like changing the weapon. Each token will have separate variables for flesh wounds, trauma, and ego points. Also, each token will have own initiative role. Let's get back to Foundry. We're gonna create our first scene right now. So go to Scenes directory, click on Create Scene, put some title. I will call it Lobby. because I want it to be like a welcoming screen for all my players. And click Create New Scene. As you can see, the scene is being displayed in the navigation bar here at the top. Also, the tools are enabled right now, so let's get through them quickly. I won't be describing each functionality in this video because for some I could make like separate 50 minutes episodes. But overall categories are basic controls for controlling the tokens and, for example, measuring the distance. Measurement controls, when you can draw the templates on the map, like the cones. Tile controls, so you can add additional tiles on your map, like obstacles and so on. Drawing tools is pretty much self-explanatory. Walls controls, lighting controls, ambient sound controls, and journal notes. Okay, let's quickly play this template. Come on. There you go. Okay, so let's back to the settings. First we have the scene name, which was already defined during the creation process. Then we have accessibility. Check this box to display it in the navigation bar. And you can also define the players that will see that scene in the navigation bar. You can change the navigation name, like welcome, for example. Also, you define your background image here. I have some assets prepared before. For example, my universal bottle map. Select file. Make sure the scene dimensions are equal to the background image. So it was 4000 by 4000. And you can change the background color here for something darker. Bam. There we go. So now we have the grid configuration. We can select the grid type. I'm using the square one for this map. Grid size in pixels, for example, to 200. Grid scale, so we can define like one grid, one square is 1 meter units. Also the grid color for something more lighter. Let's go. Now let's go to the vision and lighting settings. First of all, if you are creating welcome screen for your players, I suggest to disable the token vision and the fog exploration and also the global illumination, because all of the settings will make the scene not visible for your players. I'm gonna get back to those features later, so you will see how the things works. And at the last we have the ambience and atmosphere settings. You can create additional integrations between the scene and journal notes, audio playlists, weather effects. For example, you can turn on the rain animation or select the audio playlist that will start playing all the tracks you prepared before. And also this is the great feature, initial view position. So you can basically zoom out your view and click here on this button, capture current view, and all the values will be changed and set to your current view. So when the players gonna jump on the scene, the initial position of the view will be defined in this option. Okay, click Save Changes. You are changing the underlying dimensions of the scene. If you already place objects in the scenes, this operation may cause these objects to shift position relative to the background image. We don't have any objects yet, so click Yes. And we can see our first scene right now. There we go. The universal bottle map is also included in the newest version of Foundry. I don't think the version is available yet, but it will be soon. So let's go and see how we can import the scene from the Compendium. Let's go to the Compendium tab, and here you can see the maps folder. left click on it, and as you can see, there are two items here, bottom up dark and bottom up light. We can import the scene by right clicking on that item and click import entry. As you can see, the configuration pop out, so we can change the settings, but most of the values are set correctly right now. So just click Save Changes. We can close this window now, and we have another scene important from the compendium. It's not being showed in the navigation bar. Let's check why. Oh, because it's disabled from the navigation bar. Okay. Let's click Save Changes. As you can see, the scene just pop out here. We can move the scene by left clicking, and now you can see the player indicator, the purple one, which indicates that Game Master is on this scene right now. But the activated scene, so the one that your players are seeing at the moment, is being marked by this target icon. So to move or to display the scene for all your players, you just need to click right mouse button on the scene you want to activate and click Activate. As you can see, the target icon just moved to the second scene. Imported scene already have some of the tiles I made for the bottom map, and we can manage them by switching to Tile Controls tool and click on the tool called Select Tiles. Right now we can select them and move, change their size. And give me a second, I'm just gonna change the grid opacity because it's a little bit too low. Save change, there we go. Perfectly. So you can move the tiles. To add the new one, just click on the tile browser, and the default assets are in the Systems, Degenesis, Assets tiles. You can select the animated one or static. Let's go with static right now. And remember to set the asset grid size to the grid defined for your scene, so the tiles are imported correctly, and just drag and drop the tile on the map. The same with the animated one. The previews are not being rendered because they are the animation files. Just switch to the list view, and for example, we wanna import the obstacle, this one. Easy as that. Okay, we have the scenes, and now we need some actors. So go to the actors directory and click Create Actor. Type a name for your actor. I'm gonna use the Piast name. And for a type, you need to select character because NPC is not working right now. It will be working in the future versions of the Degenesis system. So right now, stay with the character type and click on the new actor. The character appears here on the right. So if I close the character sheet and click on the actor's name, the sheet will be displayed. And you can fill the basic information like age, rank, experience, sex, height, weight, draft dinners. Basically, all the basic information you need for your characters. To change the avatar, you need to left click on this area and move to the folder. I prepared some avatar here in the Degenesis tutorial, episode 1 avatars. And let's use the Piast avatar and click select file. It's being displayed here and here on the list. Select the culture, the concept, and the code. Also, you have all your attributes and skills here. To change the value, just click on the rectangle here. pretty much it's that easy to populate the skills. Also, to remove the point from the skill, you just need to click the rectangle before. And if you want to remove all the points, you just need to remove, for example, all the points to the 1 and click again, and it will disappear. Okay, so let me add some more points to the skills. So randomly clicking just to have some values to work with. I'm here, bam, charisma, instinct. Okay, it's totally random. Leadership probably like here. Empathy, perception, survival, timing. Okay, let's select the Poland here. Concept randomly and code. There's no. Never mind. I will leave that empty. No spoilers. Okay. Okay. Let's see how the roles work here. All you need to do is basically click on the skill you want to test, for example, toughness, and the role window will pop out. There is field for difficulty. Let's say it's 4. Also, you can add the modifiers, so you can add additional dice for that row, automatic successes, and the triggers. I'm gonna leave it like this right now and just click roll. Beautiful 3D dice are rolling, and we can see our results right in the chat log here. So we have 4 successes, 0 triggers, and the result is success. So pretty nice for a throw. Okay, let's explore the character sheet a bit more. Go to the Advantages tab. There are background points here, potentials, relationships, scars. In the Conditions tab, we have the ego points. You can manually set. They are being calculated by Catharsis rules, but also we can override that by clicking Configure at the top of the character sheet and just change this value. Leaving a value as blank or 0 will have the sheet calculated automatically. Okay. There are modifiers, complications, and at the Combat tab, you will use the scripts for attacks, dodge, initiative rolls, all that stuff. You can also change the state of the actor, like their backpack, emotion. And we have Inventory tab here. Right now, there's nothing we can add because the items categories are being hidden. That's a design choice, so we're gonna get back to that later. Also, we have the History tab for all your legacies, biography, and GM notes. Okay, so now we're gonna add some items to our character sheet, but we don't have any items for now in our items directory. We can create custom items, of course, but I'm gonna show that later. Right now, all we want to do is to import the items from the compendiums. Let's see, we have legacies here, potentials, weapons, equipment, armor and shields, ammunitions. Let's import legacies. So right click on that compendium and click import all content. You can change the folder name here. You click yes. Potentials the same, import all content, yes. Weapons, import all content, yes. Equipment, import all content. Same for armor and same for ammunitions. And when we get back to our items directory, you can see the folders filled with the pre-made items shields, equipment. That is pretty nice. Okay, so we want to add legacy to our character, and we can do it directly on the character sheet. Click plus button here, and the new item is created. Remember, the item is stored only on the character sheet, and if you want to convert it to the vault item, you need to drag and drop it back to the vault items list. I don't want to do it right now, so I'm gonna delete it. And you can fill all the data manually by yourself. And the second approach is, because we have all the items imported, just go to Legacies folder, select, for example, Imposter, and just drag and drop the item on the character sheet. And all the data is already filled. So that's a really nice feature. It's the same thing with the inventory. Let's move to the inventory tab. Right now, the groups are not being displayed, so we cannot add the item manually, but we can just select weapons and use, I don't know, the crossbow. Just drag and drop the item on the tab, and the item is imported with all the information that you need. Simple as that. And there's a plus button right now here, so you can manually add new weapons. It's the same as the legacy before, so to use it on different actors, you need to drag and drop the item back on the vault items first, and then you can use it in the new characters. To equip the weapon, just click on the equip marker, and when we move to combat, the crossbow will appear at the bottom of the character sheet, and you can use the automatic rolls for attacks. Let's switch to chat lag. When I use the short attack, my magazine is empty, but doesn't matter, I think. Difficulty 4. End result is failure. Okay, let's get back to the tutorial. I clean up the chat lag, and I prepared the second character to use. Say hello to the Not Paler, and he's gonna be fighting Piast on this beautiful universal battle map. So let's create tokens. You can create tokens many ways. I really like the simple drag and drop approach, so I'm just gonna drag the Piast actor and drop it on the scene. And the same with the Not Paler here. Okay, let's click on the token and go to settings. Here is the option to link extra data to the character sheet. We want to keep it on for the Piast, but we want to put more than one Not Paler as enemy. So we're gonna turn that link extra data off. Click update token, and now select the token, press Ctrl C, Ctrl V, Ctrl V, Ctrl V, and all of those tokens are separate actors. You can go to, by double click to the character sheet, there's title token Not Paler, let's call it Not Paler 1, Not Paler 2, Not Paler, Not Paler 3, okay, and Not Paler 4. And we can change the values of condition, for example, spore infestation, ego, for each token separately. And we are using only one actor data, which is pretty nice. Okay, so let's move to the combat round. Just select, just select all the tokens and select the toggle combat state here. See if that works. There you go. And all of the tokens are added to the encounter right here. So let's begin the combat. Click on the button at the bottom. And now we can roll initiative separately for each character. But there's option to roll all or roll all the NPCs. I'm gonna use the roll all. And I don't know why Piast don't have initiative. 6-0 triggers 0. Okay. That's 0 initiative basically. And now you can track your combat rounds. You can move the turn here, or just get back to the beginning of the combat. Let's get back to the tokens settings quickly. In the character tab, you have the token name and the display name option. Represented actor. You can change the image of your token, so you can use separate images for the character sheets and for your tokens. You can also set the scale, mirror image horizontally, vertically. You can change the position, rotation. Also, we will talk about the vision later, probably, or in different episode. And also you can set the resources for the data bars. For example, I want to display condition ego and condition trauma. Update token. And when you hover, the bars are being displayed. I'm gonna zoom in. There we go. So we added some tokens and actors, but in the end we want our players to control their characters and respective tokens. So we need to do one more thing, set up the permissions. Go to the actors directory, right click on the actor and click configure permissions. There are two options for all players. I will set it to limited or observer. Limited is basically the thing you want. And as for tutorial player that we created earlier, I want him to be the owner of that actor. And just click save. Now, when the players log in, he can control the actor. Also, we can assign the actor to the player. So right click on the tutorial player here, select the player configuration menu, and you can assign the character. Also change the color and set up the avatar. Click save configuration, and now there will be character displayed next to the player nickname. It's a pretty nifty feature. Okay. It's the same when it comes to the items. So we need to go to the items directory and change the permissions for all the items. Right click, configure permissions, and set it to observer this time, players, so they can see the items in their view. Save changes, and you need to do it for each item or each folder. Basically, weapons. Oh, not this. Observer. 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 And the last one, observer. Also, you can group your items and actors into folders. Just click create folder, folder name, level 1 or whatever. You can change the color, sorting mode, alphabetical or manual. Create folder, and you can drag and drop all your folders. Oh, I missed that. Okay, now. And you can group the items in the way you want to. Remember, there's 3 level limitation for the folders. So we can create a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3. So 1 more folder in this case. Okay. As last basic feature I want to cover in this episode is vision and fog of exploration. I cleaned up the scene a bit and left only the Piast token. Basically, vision feature allows you to simulate real character perception on a map, so he won't see past certain obstacles and notice objects only in his sight. To turn that on, we need to go to the scene configuration, right-click, configure, go to vision and lightning group, and select the token vision. Go to save changes. It seems like nothing changes, but when we click on the token, we need to have basic controls, select tokens tool checked. Just click on the token and the Foundry will simulate the line of sight. And your player that is controlling this token will see this scene, this map, as its token sees it. So we need to change it a bit, so go right click and go to configuration of the token, switch to vision and increase the distance, for example 25 meters. It's a dim, so maybe it's even bigger, and the bright vision 25 meters. Update token, and as the map is smaller, the token now can see all of the map. So let's change it to like maybe 5 and 10. Update, there you go. And this is simulating the line of sight. Okay, another useful feature is the fog of exploration. We need to turn it on as before in the scene configuration. Just select a fog exploration, tick here, save changes. And now, if you move your token or your player move his token, it will remember what the token saw before and just slightly dim the explored area. Working pretty fine. Oh. Also, you can add some walls to your map. There are a few different types, but I'm going to use the basic two. The walls, like normal walls, and the terrain walls. There are a lot of material about the walls in Foundry, so you can find that on YouTube if you are interested. Let's go and draw some walls. I'm gonna put the normal wall here. Okay. And I'm gonna use terrain walls here. And for example here. And I'm gonna use my not pair friend. Okay. Switch to basic controls and select the Piast. The normal wall will block all the vision. If you turn off the exploration fog, it will always display that dark shadow without any other details. Let's turn that back on. Okay. And the terrain walls will block the objects and the vision past a certain threshold. Like in the example, when you get closer to the not paler, it's being displayed. And that's it. At the very end, I will show you how to get your invitation links to send to your players, to join your server, of course. Go to the game settings and click on the invitation links in the game access menu. The window will pop out with the two addresses. One is for your local network and other is for the internet, for the WAN. And you want to use your WAN address. Just click on the IP address and it will be automatically copied to your clipboard. That's it. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope at least small part of information will be useful to you. Once again, I'm sorry for any language mistakes I made. It was a very stressful experience as I had the first time recording jitters. If you want to know more, come by on official Discord, links below. Also remember that all Degenesis books are available for free at official website Degenesis.com, which is pretty awesome. And there is no better time to start playing the game than right now. Also buy the printed books or leave a donation for creators, 6 more vodka, to help them make more awesome content in the future. My name is Greedy Jack and I was your host during this episode. Have a great day.